The ocean is a scary place, and what lurks deep below the dark waves terrifies people across the world. But the entity that I'm going to be explaining today makes that already scary place even worse. That's right, in this video I will be talking about the Sea Eater entity from the Trevor Henderson Lore system. Drop a huge like on this video if you want me to go over more horrific eldritch horror creatures that seek to devour humanity, and leave a comment telling me what other ones you'd like to see me talk about. Anyways, with all that said, with all the blabbering gone, let's get into the full history, the full lore, and the explanation of the Sea Eater entity, shall we? The physical description and the size of the true entity is hard to say. It's simply too big to measure. That's what she said. But it's estimated to be about 5 kilometers tall, 4.5 kilometers wide, and at least 25 kilometers long. Or if you're American, that's 3 miles tall, 4 miles wide, and 15 miles long, which is almost the size of your mom. Although some people will tell you that the Sea Eater is much bigger than that, true reports and true size estimates lie all over the place. The creature itself lives far out in the deep sections of our world's oceans, and it's really rarely seen by people who are not sailors or explorers, although there are some exceptions which I'll mention later. At almost every hour of the day, the Sea Eater will be inside the water of any ocean with its mouth open, swallowing the water, the boats, the small islands, and anything else that lies in front of its path. The creature will slowly pull its way across the oceans with that mouth agape, eating and consuming anything that stands before it. Thus the name Sea Eater. I'm sure you could never have guessed that. The creature itself is so large that it is truly hard to imagine. It gives many people who see it these horrific megalophobia feelings. As a person, when you do witness it, you'll feel insignificant and like you mean nothing. But as far as the actual physical makeup and construction of the creature, the skin of it is made out of some kind of thick, hide, blubbery material. Similar to a whale, however, water seems to be able to flow in and through the creature's skin, which gives it a very aerodynamic ability. Sailors who have seen this huge beast in the ancient times have been entranced by its largeness, how huge it is, and it's caused them to sail directly into its mouth. They kind of just get awestruck and terrified all at the same time, and they can't think, they can't move. But besides its huge mouth and its gargantuan size, the creature's other biggest feature is its 2 arms that are very noticeable. These arms are said to be made out of dead sea animals and the bones of other giants that it's beaten in combat. The arms themselves sit at over 5 kilometers tall, which is nearly taller than the actual entity, and they can move extremely fast. Estimated speeds range anywhere from 200 miles an hour to 1,000 miles per hour. These arms are what it uses to drag itself across the floor of the ocean and to swim in the really deep expanses. And they're also what it can use to attack things and people that it so chooses. Sometimes the Sea Eater ventures close enough to the shore to where people can see it from the beach. Since it's so massive, individuals who witness it often compare it to a moving mountain, just right off in the distance. It really never gets close enough to where you can see its features, and all you can kind of see is this blurry shape off in the mist, but that's terrifying either way. The creature has not gone onto land that we know of, and it actually seems to only be able to exist and thrive inside of the water. And if it gets in water less than 1 kilometer deep, it kind of begins to decay away and crumble, and then the creature will scramble to get back inside the water. It's kind of like Patrick and SpongeBob under the heat lamp. Real ones get that reference. But if it was somehow able to get onto the land and start attacking things, I'm sure the USA would just nuke it. But the question you're all asking, I bet, is where is the Sea Eater located? Because it's kind of hard for something that's this size to just hide itself. Usually the creature hides out in the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Oceans, and it's more rarely seen in the Atlantic side of things. It's said that if you do see the entity at all, from the shore, from a boat, from an island, that it's a terrible omen for your life, and that something awful is about to happen to you. It's kind of like a harbinger of bad things to come. Throughout the course of human history, there have been several incidents and run-ins with this Sea Eater entity that have been documented and have been talked about. There's tons of them as well from the prehistory days that I'll go over in a second, but these are the most recent documented cases. In 1862, the Sea Eater surfaced near a shore in an unnamed location. Its surfacing out of the ocean caused multiple tsunamis to occur. The waves in these tsunamis were recorded to be over 120 meters tall, or almost 400 feet, and the shores of this coastal area would go on to flood for over 60 years simply because the sea eater got out of the water right by the coast. In 1927, a woman named Evelyn Mary reportedly spotted the sea eater while she was on the beach sunbathing. She reported to police that a, quote, strange mountain was in the sea moving closer. She then got freaked out when this giant creature was moving towards the beach, and she ran away. And in 1930, a fisherman who was in the deep Pacific Ocean casting out some nets and some lines was with his father. And when that man's dad thought he had a fish on the hook and he looked over the side of the boat under the water, he saw a very massive, dark figure rising rapidly in the murky waters below. Before he knew what happened, the entity was springing up out of the water and capsized the vessel. Other groups in history are said to have witnessed this sea eater creature as well, and it might run deeper into mythology and lore than you expect. The pirates told tons of stories about these giant serpents that could swallow the world whole, and these strange, enigmatic sounds they could hear when they were sailing thousands of miles away from land. This could have been the sea eater. Religious people speak of the Leviathan that lives beneath the waves and holds the world's oceans together, and that devours passerbys and sinners. The description of the Leviathan kinda sounds pretty similar to the description of the sea eater. The Egyptians painted some kind of effigy of the sea eater in their pyramids of sandstone. Maybe the sea eater ventured into the Mediterranean Sea at one point. Who knows? But all that I do know is that the entity is ancient. It's a part of nearly every culture's folklore in some form or fashion, and it's as terrifying as it is ancient. I mean, it's this giant, huge, doomsday, end-of-the-earth level beast that has only been photographed just a few times. It's the dread of sailors everywhere, because they're terrified of what they might sail into if they see it. It's the embodiment of death and destruction. Even though you think you might be safe because it's off in the ocean and not on land, it can still somehow wreak havoc. The current whereabouts of this sea eater are not confirmed, and it hasn't been seen in a few years or so, which leads many to believe that it is about to show itself because, I'm sure it wants the attention. And you better pray to God that it doesn't show itself near you, or a tsunami might form, like I mentioned earlier. The sea eater is one of the giant titans in the Trevor Henderson lore, and so far on this channel, it is the biggest entity that I have ever covered, physically the biggest. And I'm not really sure there's other entities that would be bigger. There might be a couple, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anyways, that is it for this video. That is it for the explanation of the entity that I've discussed. I know I've said sea eater and creature about a million times in this video, but nevertheless, I still hope you enjoyed it. If you watched until the end, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do. Make sure to check out the description below for the credits to this creature and the arts that I've used in this video. If you're new here, I always credit the art that I use in the description below, and the footages and stuff like that, and the audio effects and such. And while you're down there, you can check out my Twitter, my Instagram, and my other YouTube channels, Toogly and Spoogly, where I'm uploading constantly. Thank you all for all that you do. If you have more suggestions for entities that I should talk about, also leave those in the comments. I'm very interested in big entities like this. I love the vibe they give off. But with all that said, I will see you in the next video. Peace and love.